seeing what can happen, how someone diagnosed with heart disease and cancer can improve their lives, improve their health. It was like, oh yeah, we've got nothing to lose. We're definitely trying this. My doctors at the heart clinic have been so excited with the weight loss and being able to come off my medications.
I have one of my favorite past clients with me here today. Her name is Lucy. We worked together about 6 months ago. She's with me today to discuss all of the wonderful health benefits she has accomplished using simple lifestyle changes and a plant-based diet first and foremost. Lucy, would you mind introducing yourself?
My name is Lucy. I'm 60 years old. I live in South Texas. My plant-based journey kind of started in after 2014 when I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. Spent the first half of the year in the hospital and the second half recuperating. I had to switch to a low sodium diet. And then the following year, my identical twin sister was diagnosed with breast cancer. Fortunately, she knew at the beginning that it was curable. So her oncologist had suggested that she look into plant-based eating and to watch the Forks Over Knives documentary. Well, at that point, I was still kind of the butter and egg and cheese queen, even though I was on low sodium. So my sister said, "Will you watch this with me?" And I told her, "Sure." But in my head, I was going, "I'm not giving this stuff up." And so we watched it. And an hour and a half later, she said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Oh my gosh, we are doing this." Seeing what can happen, how someone diagnosed with heart disease and cancer can improve their lives, improve their health. It was like, oh yeah, we've got nothing to lose. We're definitely trying this. And so it was a slow transition. The meat was the easiest thing to give up. And the dairy was a little tougher. But a couple of years later, we were pretty much on track, probably about 85% compliant. And I'd lost about 40 pounds on my own, but I just wasn't really making any more progress. And had started looking at YouTube videos on plant-based eating. And one of the things that I really liked about your videos is you talked about the science behind it and the benefits of eating that way. So that's when I signed up with you and lost an additional 25 pounds.
Oh, that's so awesome, Lucy. You know, you're not alone in your reservations after watching Forks Over Knives and thinking about what it would be like to give up all of these familiar favorite foods that you have in your diet. I completely can relate to that because there was no way I was giving up my chicken and my beef tacos and all of those things that you just have this entire mindset and philosophy around, like, this is part of the human diet. This is what I'm supposed to be eating. It doesn't make any sense to not, eat what everybody else is eating. Lucy has been able to get off a number of different medications. She's lost over 60 pounds and she got off the heart transplant list. So those are pretty incredible feats for somebody just using diet to improve their health. Altogether, you improved your hypertension, you got off your CPAP and improved your sleep. That's a big one.
Yes.
You got off the medications I was referring to, your diabetic medication, your gabapentin, your diuretic. Has there been any other changes that I missed?
Some of the heart-related medications have been reduced. Right off the bat in changing my diet, I was able to come off of cholesterol medicine and the gabapentin, which was for nerve sensitivity in my feet. I had really bad pain in my feet when I would walk, stand. I was upset every time the dosage had to be increased. And in changing the diet, it got to the point where I told the doctor, I don't think I need to take this anymore. My feet are not hurting the way they used to. Over time, my heart medication's been reduced. And I think that has a lot to do with the way of eating and then moving more, getting more exercise in. And that prompted me to contact you and get signed up. And with you, I was able to lose 25 pounds in 3 months. And I'm at the weight I was at or haven't been at in 20, 30 years.
Pre-kiddos.
Yes, pre-kiddos.
What does your diet look like today versus prior to going plant-based?
prior to going plant-based, there was a lot of chicken, fish, some vegetables, not like now. A lot of eggs for breakfast, a lot of cheese, a lot of dairy, love cottage cheese, and a lot of processed foods. And now, pretty much the staples on hand each week are grains, beans, ton of vegetables, ton of fruit, and salad fixings. That's typically what I eat for lunch every day is what I call kitchen sink salads because it's got everything but the kitchen sink in it. And
Mm.
I love that. That's one of my favorite meals. So, sometimes it gets to the point where it's like there's not enough hours in the day to eat what I want to eat
Yes.
between having, like oatmeal or grain oat groats for breakfast with fruit. And then every now and then I might do a tofu scramble just for something different. But for the most part, it's always going to be oatmeal and fruit. Then lunch, I like to have my salad with all kind of vegetables and beans in it or sweet potatoes. And then sometimes if I'm still hungry when I stop working for the day, then might get some beans and vegetables or some kind of soup, vegetable bean soup.
Mm.
So it's like my mouth wants to eat more than what the day allows.
Yeah, there's a lot of chewing involved in this diet too. So, can you give me more details on how your health has improved since going plant-based?
I am sleeping so much better now. I used to have bouts of insomnia, and now I'm able to sleep a good 6, 7 hours of solid sleep. And that was really a big change. And then as the years have gone by, I've been able to reduce my heart medication. There was a time when at my worst health, I was having to walk with a cane because I just didn't have the strength or I had a lot of breathing issues because my heart was not operating at the right capacity. And so when that happens, your body just kind of shuts down. You can't breathe. So I was walking with a cane just to get from the parking garage to my desk at work. Um, since improving my diet, and then with the heart medication, I feel like a new person. I'm exercising every day for 30 minutes. My sister and I go for a walk outside for a mile in the mornings, first thing in the mornings. If this is my new normal, I'm fine with that. I'm actually looking forward to January when I have to go redo my stress test at the heart clinic. I am excited about doing that, where normally I would just dread it, but I can't wait to show them. My doctors at the heart clinic have been so excited with the weight loss and being able to come off my medications. And just as kind of a funny story, when I was on my diuretic to uh, combat the excessive fluids that my body was retaining, I had to take a potassium pill. And so when I got to the point where I didn't need the diuretic anymore because I wasn't retaining the fluid, they said, okay, get off your potassium pill and wait 2 weeks and come back and get some more lab work. Well, I went back and got the lab work and they said, well, did you get off the potassium pill? And I said, well, yes. Why? And they said, well, your potassium level is still really high. And it's like, well, that's because I eat a lot of leafy greens and spinach and so that just, they could not understand that. So I said, trust me, it's I'm not taking any more pills. It's just the diet that I'm on. It's just so much more healthy.
Yeah, they're probably very used to people going back or continuing to progress in their illness instead of, reversing it like the way that you did.
Yes.
Oh, that's so inspiring, Lucy.
And that was also another reason for losing weight is because in order to get on the heart transplant list, I was too overweight. I had to lose weight because it looked like that's where I was headed, was having another heart transplant. But right now, I don't think that's in my future, um, just from all the benefits of eating this way.
You've got everything you need to sustain your health and move forward.
Yes.
I currently have a few openings in my 90-day nutrition optimization program. So if that additional support and guidance and accountability is warranted, then make sure you click the link in the description box below and schedule a free 45-minute consultation with me so we can get to the bottom of what's going on with this yo-yoing back and forth, falling off the wagon, getting back on the wagon, and giving into all these temptations and feeling crappy about yourself and feeling like there's something wrong with you or that you're somehow dysfunctional. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. It is our environment. We are not designed for this problem, and it is a huge problem that very little people are going to be able to solve on their own. So, like I said, I'm very passionate about this lifestyle and about helping people to do just that. So if you need that help, make sure you click the link and we'll have a little chat. You have found some wonderful ways to stay compliant and on plan and keep aligned with your goals while you're out and about in an area where you used to really indulge and kind of partake in the social hedonic sort of eating.
Yeah, so a couple of weeks after we got back from our cruise, we went to Jekyll Island, and we were excited about that because we drove. So while the drive was a little difficult, we got to take all our food with us, our instant pots, coolers that we could keep the food nice and cold, and any snacking that we wanted, fruits for snacking. And so we drove to Georgia. We got a hotel with a kitchenette in it. And it was great because as soon as we got there, I had a few things already prepared. And so put those in the refrigerator and got out the Instant Pot and made some beans and the soup. And it was great because we just had everything there. It was so nice knowing that I could eat compliant food. I didn't have to worry because everything is fried or with oil or not a whole lot of vegan or plant-based options. So it was nice not having to worry about what am I going to eat. We had everything there. We could go to the grocery store and pick up anything that we needed in between, and then driving back we had food for the car and packed big salads, and it was great.
So how has your family responded to your health choices and your diet?
They're very receptive. They know that we eat plant based, and so we do get some of the questions. Well, how do you get your protein, and is that all you're eating? And just letting them know it's not all rabbit food, and it's healthy. And I'm still trying to get my kids to be open enough to looking into other options. I'll put it that way. If I had known of this way of eating when I was younger, I think it would have made a world of difference. And I hate that I'm just learning at 55, 60, and I want my kids to be around as long as possible because my twin sister and I, our heart issues are genetic. And right after she got through with dealing with her breast cancer and got everything taken care of, she started having heart issues. And so we thought it was because of the chemotherapy. And it wasn't until we went to the heart failure clinic that we found out it was genetic. She ended up having to have a heart transplant in 2020. And she was in and out in 2 weeks and then home to recuperate. And she didn't have any issues. And I can't help but think eating plant-based made it so much easier for her. My kids will most likely have to deal with the possible heart issues. I would like for them to be more open-minded just to hear about it. So I'm still working on them. But our family, our extended family, they know how we eat, and they don't really say anything. And every now and then it's like, oh, what are you eating? Can I try it? And so it's like, sure. Yeah. So it's always nice when they try something and go, wow, this is really good. It's like, I know. I was just going to say my coworkers, they laugh and they're always interested to see what I'm going to eat when we have our monthly lunches together since we work remotely from home. We see each other online on the computer, but once a month we try to maintain the closeness, the unity by going for lunch. And sometimes it can be challenging trying to find something that I can eat. but they don't think twice now if we go someplace where the only thing that I can get is a salad, but I bring my Ziploc baggie full of beans and tomatoes and bell peppers and all that kind of stuff and dump that into my salad and my balsamic vinegar, a little bottle of that. And so I take a very plain salad and make it into a feast.
Hmm.
And they're always amused to see what am I going to eat or what am I going to bring. And they're very supportive. I got a couple of them to try carrot dogs one time, and so, uh, but for the most part, I don't really face a lot of criticism or opposition.
That's wonderful. And it's funny that you expressed the term rabbit food because that's exactly what I hear from people. Even my boyfriend still calls me a rabbit from time to time. And I'm like,
It's
ah.
not.
And sometimes I think they just wish they could figure out how to enjoy those foods more, you know.
Yes.
Oh, I
Yes.
wish I enjoyed those the way that you enjoyed those. I've actually heard from people, I wish I took care of myself the way that you take care of yourself. I'm like, you can. It's right there. It's at your fingertips. Just use it.
That's very true.
Okay, so how have your health and weight changed or have they remained stable in the past few months?
I have had no problems maintaining my weight uh, from the
Incredible.
weight loss. It really is. It really is. In the past, I was a yo-yo dieter. I'd get it off and put it back on, and get it off and put it back on. Actually, when I was in the hospital in 2014, I lost 50 pounds just from being sick, and I was so excited. That was the first time, and I don't know how long I was actually able to cross my legs, and that was such a good feeling. Well, over time, I put all that weight back on plus more. And so one of my goals with you was to lose weight so I could cross my legs again.
I
And that
remember
was
that.
such an awesome feeling. But I've been able to maintain. I will admit I've allowed for some things to come back into my diet, and that has slowed the weight loss. I know if I take those things out, one of the things, good things that came out of working with you is I'm a coffee drinker, and stopping the alcohol for 3 months, that was easy. It was when it came to the coffee that I thought, well, I don't know if I can not drink coffee. I've been doing it for 40 years,
But you did
and
it.
but yes, yes. With your help, I found a coffee alternative, an herbal tea, herbal coffee, and that made such a difference. And I was able to, because I have to have creamer with my coffee, and so because the tea was much less acidic or less bitter. I don't know. It tasted, it had some great flavors. I could drink it as is. And so I didn't need the creamer. So I will admit I've had some more, kind of introduced coffee and creamer back in my diet. So it's just the little things, probably eating more starches if I cut back on the starches. I know what to do. It's just doing it. But I'm very happy that I've been able to maintain my weight, and I don't go hungry. I eat a large volume of food. I love that when I look at that and try to figure out about how many calories is that, only 300 calories for all this food. When you've got a mound of vegetables and beans, and I'm a volume eater. So I love this way of eating because I get plenty of food for just a few calories.
Yep, plenty of rabbit food.
Well, I don't look like I'm suffering or I'm starving. So
I was really excited to reach out to Lucy because I had no idea where she had been, what had been transpiring in her life and along her health journey since we had worked together. It's so unlikely that following a weight loss program, somebody isn't going to just put all those pounds back on and then more so. So she was very steadfast and very successful in her approach. So, some things that she did mention is that she's been including some more calorie dense items back into her diet slowly. And your weight has stabilized for now, but unfortunately, that will
yes,
probably start to progress again if you continue to mess around with that.
yes,
Because
yes.
when we drop that threshold for these more hyper palatable or these higher calorie dense options, we actually start to progressively choose more and more and more of them over our less calorie dense or less hyper palatable options. So this is not to say that you need to go the rest of your life without ever having some coffee or ever having some creamer or, being so dogmatic about it. It just means to be a little more cognizant. So I wanted to leave you today with a few action steps moving forward that you can use
Okay.
to continue your weight loss on your own. And I hope this is helpful for others because they are very universal. First and foremost, I want you to rekindle your why. Reach out to plant-based support groups and maintain your ongoing immersion in the plant-based nutrition education. Obviously, you're interested in the science, right? So the more
Hmm.
that you learn about what's actually happening in your body and what's going on with the interactions between the food and your molecular structure, it's so multifaceted that it's very difficult to appreciate without consistently reminding ourselves what the heck is going on in my body when I eat these foods. This could be YouTube, books, podcasts, sky's the limit, blogs, recipe books, all that. But also rekindle the support system you have with your sister. Lucy told me a wonderful story when we were catching up prior to this interview, explaining to me that her and her sister are having a CPAP competition to see how much better they're getting at sleeping without needing those machines anymore and trying to outcompete the other one by terms of their health improvements. So that's wonderful to have a buddy system like that to where you can have an accountability partner and make sure that you're staying on track regardless of the ups and downs that life is inevitably going to throw at you. Obviously, removing the items that have stunted your weight loss, like the alcohol, the creamer, the coffee, the animal foods, etc. I know those were all like one-off times because, you were in certain circumstances where those are typically celebrated and you wanted to kind of experiment a little bit, and that's perfectly fine. What's super interesting is that we're supposed to experiment with those things from time to time until we get to a comfortable spot where we don't need to do that anymore. Because we have this long-winded history of using these foods and having these really positive experiences with them. All of these memories that we've stored up about what happens when I eat a piece of cheese or what happens when I eat this bite of cake. You're going to have all of these pleasurable memories pop up in your mind. But the more you eat healthy and then experiment with these hyper palatable, super unhealthy foods, the more your brain is going to start associating those with sickness and disease and toxicity, as opposed to something to seek after or something to feel rewarded by or seek pleasure from. So you're just kind of including more and more of those frequencies where you're not finding them as pleasing, and then that will start to surface in your memory more so than the older memories of being more fond of those foods.
That is so true because the times that we have had something that's not a good decision, our expectations are here, but reality is here. And so it's always kind of like, yeah, I don't need to do that anytime soon. It wasn't what I expected and it was meh. And it left us, that upset stomach. It's like, no, we shouldn't have done that.
Mhm. That's a great addition to what I'm referring to because we tend to remember the good and not the negative. So when we think back about why did I used to eat this? What did it taste like? How did it make me feel? You're going to remember all of those super pleasurable aspects of the experience instead of, oh yeah, and then I got a horrible stomach ache afterwards. I felt like crap the next day and I couldn't eat healthy food for the next week because it didn't taste the same. And people forget about the diabetes that was surfacing as a result of the way that they were eating, or people forget about the hypertension and the medications that they were once on when, they were eating that way. They just think about, oh, that immediate gratification of the taste and the dopamine hit, as opposed to all of the negative aspects that are associated with that decision.
When we got back from the cruise, we were we enjoyed our time on the cruise, but we were so ready to get back to our regular way of eating.
I'm sure. And not only that, but being surrounded by all of those hyper palatable options like day after day after day, that weighs on our nervous system because you have to use your willpower, which is very finite, in order to refrain from engaging in behaviors that would normally come so natural to you at home because you're in this little fortress of healthful safety. Okay, so the third thing I would recommend is incorporating more of a strength training regimen. I know that you're familiar with this because of our time together, but I am going to encourage you to circle back into that portion of the program and really dive into what that looks like for you. And bring your sister along. I think the two of you would be great gym buddies, or at least the fitness center in your apartment complex, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in addition to your current activity level, I would include some regular strength training at least twice a week, about 30 minutes apiece, and getting all the major muscle groups. And the fourth thing I would recommend is to continue finding new recipes and ways to keep these foods exciting. It's very difficult to compete with the lure of old familiar favorites when you're bored with your healthy meals. You are a pleasure seeker. You want to keep things interesting and spice things up a bit and try new things. And for that type of personality, it's so important to make sure you're flipping through your recipe repertoire from time to time and trying something new and making sure that you're staying interested in what's for dinner, as opposed to, ugh, my soup again, or something that you're not looking forward to as much. But I think you're getting to a place where you're recognizing that food isn't supposed to entertain you or uplift you or make you feel like super passionate or excited about anything. It's just supposed to be your nourishing meal, and I think you've reached a healthy medium with that.
Yes. What we have found that 2 meals a day are it's just right. Occasionally, nighttime snacking can be difficult at times. We do try to have some hummus and vegetables or have fruit, something like that. But we are bad with our nighttime eating, snacking. But yes, yeah, I agree completely.
Yeah, you forgot about that detail when we were meeting previously. That's a big one.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
No, I remember from your notes of our initial period together that you did so fantastic. Lucy used to eat on like a 14 and a half feeding window. And she has narrowed that down to an 8 to 8.5 hour feeding window. So that is spectacular, not only for your weight loss, but also for your health in general and your sleep. For somebody who is suffering so much with being able to get a decent night's sleep, it's been very helpful for Lucy to implement that. But it sounds like we need to tighten up the screws a little bit.
Oh yes, yes, definitely need to tighten up those screws and do more knitting or violin practice or working in the apartment or doing some organizing. We've got things on the list we need to do.
Lucy, I'm so happy to hear that you have taken away the practical steps from my program and have continued to implement those, moving forward independently.
I know what I need to do. It's putting it in practice and it's things that I did on your program and I saw results. So I, got a little lazy there, but I know if I go back to the steps that you showed me, I will start seeing weight loss results again. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say, I highly suggest anyone that is interested in working with you, definitely do it, because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired when I made the decision to seek your help, and you helped me. So I saw results and results I hadn't seen in forever. So I highly recommend anyone, definitely eat this way. The benefits outweigh any of the yearnings for the sad diet. Just the results that you'll see from changing to plant-based eating. And I highly recommend you to help in any way possible.
That is so sweet, Lucy. And that is not why I called her onto this interview.
No.
So don't get that idea.
That's coming from the heart. You have helped me tremendously.
That's wonderful, Lucy. I feel like if I can get one more person to eat plant-based, that's just that much closer to a healthy planet and a better experience for my daughter when she grows up and the next generation and the next generation. Like, it's so important to think about like the ongoing, collective health of societies
Yes.
and our culture and the nation and other nations. And I'm just trying to think outside myself. So I'm glad that
Yes.
it's been helpful for you.
Very helpful.
So be sure to check out the previous videos showcasing Lucy's weight loss and health journey. I will link those in the description box below and right here if you want to click on those next. Lucy, thank you so much for joining me today. I can't thank you enough. This has been a wonderful experience.